RAFA Racing Club, it is another big grid, ready to do battle for our first of two 60-minute races of the weekend. One today, one tomorrow on this 4.226 kilometre long circuit. A track temperature that has been going up like a space rocket, 47.2 degrees now, and it's going to be very hot in the cars as well. David Addison and Joe Osborne. Trackside, the grid is formed. We're under 10 minutes away from the start of the formation lap for race one, based on the time set in the first qualifying session. Josh Ratican's McLaren is on pole position, but Joe, there's a bit of a saga attached to that car.
Yeah, that car then had a mechanical issue in Q2 with Cresswell aboard it. So that car easily on pole position. It was 4/10 clear. And those 4/10 coming in sector one. And some of the teams saying that the car used a lot of the curbs through turns 1 and 2, which ultimately might have been the reason why that yellow McLaren making its way to pole position had the failure in Q2. So they are pole and last in the two GT4 races.
So bookending the grids effectively there. Up to second on the grid comes Luc Ibanez, who always seems to go well around here. Victor last year in the Mercedes AMG. You can see the 5-minute board is being made ready. So it is going to be, of course, a rolling start. It's Josh Ratican in the pole sitting yellow McLaren there for Eddie Ives' Elite Motorsport team, just creeping into view. And the team, of course, having had no real chance to find out whether it is healthy or not, other than that installation lap around to the grid.
Yeah, it did lots of damage when the failure happened. It was the drive shaft that sheared, pushed the hub out, which then snapped the brake disc in half, which then caused the wheel to come loose as well. So it wasn't a simple fix for the Elite team, and that will be a big question mark for them coming into this 1-hour sprint with a very hard circuit here. With all the curbs, there's a lot of energy put through these cars.
They're flat curbs because this is a popular motorbike circuit, but because they're flat curbs, people use them.
Yeah, and they're flat to a degree. There's sausage curbs put in. Apex of 2 is a big one there. As you see, a lovely happy birthday message on board the Mercedes from Racing. But also the serrated curbs. It's no longer his birthday, and we move on. But yes, they're flat, but they're still serrated, and that energy going somewhere through the suspension.
That was a bit like tearing off the wrapping paper from your present, wasn't it? So the Mercedes on the outside of the front row, Luc Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos. There is then Josh Ratican, his second pole position of the season, and the team having a look to make sure that everything is okay on that front right corner. Well, it was the left rear, wasn't it? The concern came. The car made it out for Q2, got as far as turn 10, so most of the lap achieved, and then it pulled off and ground to a halt. But Josh Ratican, hopefully, is going to be good to go with a healthy car, and we know that the car's got good pace. We saw that from his qualifying effort. He did a 1 minute 40.1, nearly 4/10 and change quicker than Luc Ibanez, who lines up second on the grid. At the back of the grid for this race is Pedro Ibrahim, because he's had a 20-place grid drop after picking up an infringement at Spa, and also a team with a pretty significant grid drop. Hugo and Thibaut Mojica, they were involved in that accident at Spa that stopped the race very early on, race 2. So they also end up a long way down the grid. You can see just how hot drivers are trying to keep cool. As I mentioned Josh Ratican a moment ago, we can hear from him before we go racing. Alex Legui is on the grid for us. She's found Josh.
Hello, Josh. So tell me, what happened in qualifying?
Well, obviously my qualifying went as planned, which obviously we weren't expecting. Obviously after yesterday we had a few little issues, but to be honest, the pace was there. And then obviously unfortunately when Mackenzie got in the car we had a very slight technical issue, but nothing the team couldn't fix, which obviously I'm looking forward to this race.
Okay, good. Right beside you, you've got Luke in the car, who we know has won here many times before. You feeling good into that first corner?
Yeah, as long as I can get a good start, I don't see why not. Obviously the pace showed it from qualifying, and then last year and the year before we had the pace here, so I don't see why we can't do it again.
Good. All right, power's on.
Thank you.
I like the understated way Josh Ratican describes that, a slight issue. Well, it was pretty significant, a wheel parting company with the car, but I suppose that's the power of positive thinking, isn't it? You know, we've done with that. Yes, we've had an issue, but hey, we move on. The car's rebuilt. We're good to go racing. Yeah,
I'd hate to see a big issue if it were falling off a small one, but yeah, he obviously doesn't feel like he used too much curb to get to pole position, so he will be now focused on it. So will Abanya here in the Mercedes. That car's going to be very strong in a straight line compared to the McLaren, so he's going to try and fight it around the outside of 1, and then all hell breaks loose at turn 2 here. Cars will cut the corner, and then we'll have to work out have they gained an advantage? So any cars on the right side of the grid as we look at it now is going to be an interesting cut, I think, for them at turn 2.
Let's go back to the grid as you look at the rest of the pack as they're all lined up. And Luke Ibanez, we've been talking about on the front row of the grid. Alex is with a regular Misano winner.
Right, you, sir, are someone who has a rather good pedigree around here. What is it about this circuit here in Misano that suits your driving style so well?
Yeah, here in Misano, we can manage to do a really good speed. This morning we missed it a bit with McLaren. He's a bit fast, but I think now in the race.
3 days, 2 nights, 3 days. Already done. 3 days, 2 nights से ऑफिस में ही हूँ. Full burnout, beach vacation, full chill out. Increment मिला इतना थोड़ा. भूखना वाला घोड़ा. 40 लाख से भी ज़्यादा domestic और international hotels. कमाल के prices. करो stress की छुट्टी.
And we had the pace for sure.
That's good. Right, Ramos.
Luke Ibanez then is good to go. And just to recap, Pedro Ibrahim starting last. He'll be a man to watch. 20-place grid drop for causing that race-stopping accident at Spa. Remember the big shunt on the opening lap where Paul Petit's Audi was turned around and all manner of drama broke loose. Now, Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert are in the race. Brand new Audi chassis, so the Team Speedcast squad have junked the original one, built up a new one, and it's been a quick car as well. It's going to start on the 3rd row of the grid. Drivers now leaving it to the very last moment, really, to get suited and booted and then jump on board. And as Gustavo Xavier gets on board, let's hear from Greg Gilbert. New car for him after Spa.
Hello, sir. So I know you weren't behind the wheel in Spa during that terrifying incident. Paul was. What's the feeling been in the team since then?
Yeah, it was you know, a terrible feeling because Paul, we don't have any message from the radio from him. So yeah, it was 4 or 5 minutes really long for us. But my wife was on we say tribune. And she said, okay, he's working, so yeah. After he had a really bad week after this big crash, but yeah, nothing broken, nothing happened, so it would be really dangerous or something bad, but yeah, doesn't happen, so yeah, we are really happy to be here today.
And here you are, team have done well, new car, how's it feeling? Do you feel like you're up to pace here in Misano, or is there more to gain?
Yeah, we love together Misano. P5 is not the pace that we expect. It was not the best lap in my life, but yeah, we are quite happy. I was really safe with a track limit, so a bit too safe, and we start P5.
Well, I'm glad to see you boys back. Good luck, Greg.
Thanks.
Greg Gilbert has a good track record in GT4 as a race winner, as a champion, and was Peugeot Spider champion prior to that, so a very rapid racer, no question about it, and Pro-Am champion twice over in recent years in this category as well. Right, that 1 minute board is being shown, which is the indication to fire up the engines, and then those last engineers leave the grid in anticipation of the formation lap. 60 minutes in prospect, and everybody now making their way back into the pit lane. Doesn't take long to clear the grid here with the big barrier allowing people through into the pit lane. The grandstands are filling up, and as you can see, there's a certain amount of Valentino Rossi interest because he is going to be racing later in the day in the first of the GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup races. Marshall's clearing the grid, and then that 15-second board is going to be held aloft, and very shortly the leading car as it is will blast away, acting as the pace car, and then we're going to be ready for Josh Ratigan to lead them away. Now, on this 4.226 kilometre circuit, pinch point 1, I guess, Joe, is that first corner. Other than that, where do you overtake?
There's some good opportunities here. There's 4, there's 8, there's even 10 as the cars go for a late apex. The inside is left open. Then 13, 14, and potentially a lunge at 16. So 5 to 6 really good overtaking spots. And here we see turns 1 and 2. Big sausage curbs on the inside, potentially damaging that McLaren earlier.
Let's look at the grid. Josh Ratigan's going to line up on pole position with Luc Ibanieff with him at the front. Starting third is Benjamin Lariche, and he is the man who in the silver championship is the championship leader. Hadrien David lining up alongside, ahead of Greg Gilbert, who's had a race win, and then third in the silver championship, Beke Besler, ahead of Gustavo Xavier, who's on the Pro-Am pole, ahead of Ricardo van der Ende. Then Stanislav Safronov and Charlie Hart lines up alongside. Next up, Roberto Faria lining up alongside Julius Dynason, back after missing the races at Spa, Baudouin de Tout, and Vinny Beltramelli, who's had a Pro-Am class win, is for company. William Orton, Gabriele Ilkova next, ahead of Eric Evans, a long way back, double winner, second in silver in the championship, Edwin Helstone alongside, ahead of Max Kronberg and Daniel Blickler, who've had 3 wins and are second in the championship in Am, alongside Davide Meloni. Then, the Pro-Am championship leader, a long way back, Hendrik Still, 4 times a winner this year, and with 3 Am wins, the championship leader there, Jean-Mathieu Leandri, is alongside, ahead of Lucas Cartel and Christopher Brunhagen. Row 13 is Vasily Vladikin, and it is Sergiu Nicolai lining up alongside. Row 14, Hugo Mojica in the Ginetta, and Lorenzo Doniaco ahead of Nathan Van Springel and Julien Ripper. The 16th row is Stefan Nilsson and Igor Sorokin, who's third in Am in the championship, ahead of Jurian Dabak and Victor Bouveng, third in the Pro-Am Championship, but he lost a lot of lap times for track limits this morning. Row 18, Ajit Kumar alongside Stefano Daste's Lotus, a winner, second in Pro-Am in the Championship, and the back row is Elias Niskanen and Pedro Ibrahim in the bright blue BMW, which is definitely a car to watch. We know they're quick, and the BMWs have a pretty good strike rate round here as well. So the cars making their way up now through turn 9, the sort of kink that brings you into the hairpin of turn 10, and as they do so, drivers trying to get warmth into the Pirelli rubber. It seems silly to say it on a day like this, but you still need the temperature there, you still need the pressures up as well.
Yeah, the teams will have left these tyres in the sun, so they're probably at 45 to 50 degrees Celsius, and they need to get to 80 or 90, but look how slow this formation lap is, coming to a complete stop here with Kumar towards the back of the grid, starting well outside the top 35, but that's the problem with so many cars, you get that concertina effect, and that's the problem on the pit straight as well.
Yes, in years gone by, these were called warming up laps, but when you're going that slowly, there's not a lot of warming up to be done, is there? But the formation lap, at least it does bring the cars round, and of course for the rolling start, towards the end of the lap, they'll get themselves into that side-by-side formation. Stefano Daste in the Lotus you were on board with a moment ago, that car also losing out through track limit offences and suffering a little bit in qualifying, but that car has moved on massively since the start of the season. And bear in mind, we've only had 3 race meetings prior to this weekend. They've come a long way.
Yeah, they've done a huge amount of development with that car to make it competitive, and expect that car to be one of the cars potentially going to the inside of turn 2 when you're that far back. What have you got to lose? You might as well roll the dice and see if you can get away with it. But this is going to be action-packed all the way down this 38-car field.
Now, if they all get through turns 1 and 2 and 3 safely, I'll be surprised. You could almost put money on somebody having to take to the escape road to avoid contact, and then it becomes a bit of a problem for all the track limit dramas and the officials to sort out what was legit and what was gaining an advantage. Going off the track is one thing. We did have somebody, for example, having a time reinstated from pre-qualifying for going off the road to avoid a bollard that was in the middle of the road. So avoiding a car that would have made you have an accident any other way, again, might be mitigating. Let's see. Light to red, light to green. We go racing in race 1 of the GT4 European Series, powered by RAFA Racing Club. Great start by the McLaren then. Josh Ratigan not only leads away, but swings across the road to gain the line for the corner, ahead of Ibanieff in second place. Benjamin Lariche goes third. In fourth, as they wriggle their way through for the first time, looks like the Toyota, as up the curb there goes Hadrien David. He in turn is just ahead of Greg Gilbert, and then you've got Beke Besler in the first of the BMWs. Big send up the inside line there, looked by Ricardo van der Ende in the red, white and blue BMW that tries to get up alongside Besler as well. Outside line there, look, going on towards turn 6, but he couldn't quite do it. Ratigan leads.
It was a quick start. Ratigan went early, and that helped the field space out, so there was less chance of contact. But look in the background, the Supra having to defend there. There's something going to kick off. Porsche's 3 wide in the middle as well.
So they all survived turns 1, 2 and 3 against expectation. But yeah, you're right, a very quick starting Josh Ratigan, away like a stabbed rat. He leads the way from Ibanieff, from Lariche, from David, from Gilbert. And there's the first drama of the race. One of the Astons gets all roughed up. and back onto the circuit, although with a bit of time wasted, I'm afraid, is the Racing Spirit of Le Mans car of Baudouin Detu. He will drop back in the pack as Ratigan tries to get away from Ibaniev, who's got LaRouche crawling all over him. They come down through Cavoni for the first time through turns 11, 12, 13, 14. Every right-hander in this section tightens, so you go kink to corner to tight corner to hairpin. 3 for the lead. They're bunching up again.
Yeah, and it's hard to call so many different manufacturers in here. There's been a balanced performance change since qualifying, but it looks very even across all the brands. Hard to call out. I thought the Mercedes was going to be stronger on the opening lap and put the McLaren under some pressure down the straight, but that wasn't the case. Looks like the Audi's still strong, and at the moment Bessler really struggling, isn't he? Van der Ende all over him. That looks like it's a move that's going to happen this lap.
Let's see, is it going to happen down at turn 1? Yes, the BMW's nose to tail almost side by side, and then behind them there, looking the 812 white McLaren, Charlie Hart, the quick young Brit, going nicely, but he's involved in a big battle with Stanislav Safronov. They come then now pairing off a little bit up towards turn 4. So Ratigan and Ibaniev together with Benjamin LaRouche trying to stay with them. Then you've got David and Gilbert fighting for 4th. The next pair, Bessler and Van der Ende, and then Hart and Safronov together, the next pair. But the 3 leaders then come towards us with Josh Ratigan just trying to extend the margin, and he has done so by a couple of tenths in sector 1. Into the pit lane is Hugo Mojica. Strive for the Ginetta on the first lap, punctured tyre by the look of it. And I wonder whether that got involved with the Aston Martin of Detu, which is why that car lost ground as well.
Yeah, it would make sense. They both went off the track at similar points. But just looking at Stefan Daste there, he's made a huge amount of places up on this opening lap. The front 3 getting away the Supra then of David, starting to hold up cars behind. And Bessler still in front of Van der Ende, who's looking to the inside. Safronov in the Aston Martin, our lead Pro-Am car as well. So he's had a good start, still on the back of Charlie Hart.
Adrien David in the Toyota Supra, just there ahead of Greg Gilbert. They're 4th and 5th in the race. They're 4th and 5th in silver as the cars work their way now up towards the hairpin at turn 14. Out of it they turn with the BMWs almost together again. Ricardo Van der Ende bit frustrated now, being stuck behind Beke Bessler, but he's got to find a way past us there. Gilbert bounces out to the inside, has a look coming into turn 16. No way through as they accelerate now past the pits. So Josh Ratigan, in his 2nd season of GT4, last year's Silver Cup champion, he knows that McLaren well. He's using that experience to good effect to pull away Ibaniev. 7/10 of a second back, and then in 3rd it is LaRouche. And look at this, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th now, pretty much all in a line. Toyota, Audi, and then they're not quite nose to tail anymore, but the 2 BMWs are there as well.
Yeah, looks like Bessler's car is coming alive. That blue BMW maybe starting lower tyre pressures. We see that quite often. Different starting pressures lead to a different way the tyre comes in. Cresswell trying to get that Ginetta out the way. That's obviously on an out lap, but he'll be fighting to stay on the lead lap. He will not make that move easy. That would be a big defence as we see Bessler looking to the inside. We are starting to get track limit warnings. There's a few inside the top 10 already. Once they get to their 6th one, they get a 5-second penalty. It's a Ginetta defender getting out the way. I think it was the latter, luckily for the McLaren, but it's held up Ibanez.
Absolutely, because now Ratigan can use that to his advantage, can't he? The gap was 9/10 of a second, and if he can just leave that Ginetta between him and the opposition for another couple of corners, that's going to help. But actually, the grunt of that Mercedes AMG in a straight line is able to carry him through on the outside line down towards turn 11, that fast kick at Curvone, and then the cars accelerate their way all the way on towards the hairpin at turn 14. Now there, number 61, is Eric Evans, struggling really to make the progress in that Mustang. He's down in 16th place, but bear in mind they're double winners, and you'd have thought this would be a perfect circuit for the Mustang. They have really struggled, whether it's with the car, with the setup, or whether it's just not the best BOP for it this weekend. Only the team will tell, but they are not where they need to be for the championship. Really not. 2nd in the championship at the moment. They're only just about in front of one of the AM cars at the moment of Kronberg. He is the AM class leader, and we know how fast Kronberg is, but that shows you the lack of pace in that Academy Mustang. And there's another Mustang in the race of Nathan Van Springel, and that's only 28th as there. A big move is made around the outside line. That's Victor Bouvenger-Kimvalde, 98 BMW, gets ahead of the similar car of the Maloney family. Now have a look in the background, 11. That is from the rear of the grid, Pedro Ebrahim. So he started 38, he's up to 24th already. 14 places done in the first 6 minutes of the race, which is pretty impressive. Keeps at that rate, he's going to win it easily. Easier said than done, isn't it? But he's going nicely. Of course, you can see the sister car there involved in a big battle, but he's got ahead of Gilbert. So up the inside line, Beke Bessler goes ahead of the Audi. And now Ricardo van der Ende makes the pass as well, and he's gone by. So it's still Gilbert just hanging on to the place ahead of Charlie Hart. But the two BMWs have caught and passed and gone. And Hadrian David, look, has been able to build a gap while all that squabbling has been happening. Greg Gilbert doesn't often lose places like that, but he got well and truly put offline by a hard-charging Berke Bessler. So the Turkish driver gets ahead of the Frenchman, and also Dutchman Ricardo van der Ende nips by as well. There, 17 is van der Ende.
Yeah, and Charlie Hart's still trying to hold off that Aston Martin at the moment. I thought he was going to get a chance to get Gilbert as well, but Gilbert seems to have stopped the rut and actually is on the front foot now, trying to get that place back off the BMW of Van der Ende. So
the race leaders swing their way on towards the end of the lap. In 8th place, it is Charlie Hart keeping Stanislav Safronov at bay. Now, Safronov is the leading Pro-Am at the minute, and the leading Am is number 30, Max Kronberg's Porsche. So Safronov going nicely. They're always there or thereabouts within Pro-Am. They haven't been winners this season, but they have been on the podium. Way out wide there goes Gustavo Xavier's BMW, and the field comes flooding past him. Now, was that a mistake, or has he got a problem? Has he picked up pace? Just about, I think.
Yeah, it's intermittent. It still doesn't look massively quick. He's lost a handful of places instantly there, as we see one of the other McLarens fight through 1 and 2. It's interesting to see what they can do around the outside there, 3 wide.
That is Josh Dynaston, but look, up the inside line there was going Hendrik Still to get himself up past Max Kronberg, his co-driver of last year. So big shuffles going on. Where is all that happening? Round about 14th, 15th, 16th area. So number 8, Greg Gilbert, shuffle back in the pack then, down to 7th, and he might lose that in a minute. Charlie Hart is right behind him, and Stanislav Safronov in the mix as well. Regular in the GT4 European Series. Safronov over the last few years. So that McLaren going nicely. Different team operating the car. The RAFA Racing cars run by the Race Lab team, whereas it's Elite Motorsport operating the yellow, race-leading McLaren.
Yeah, and it's looking very strong. It almost feels like Rattigan's managing the pace already. Saying that, he just did a purple sector 1 on this lap, so he's able to keep it Ibanez at 8/10. That's really the minimum gap you want as a driver. 8/10, you can manage that, and I think less, you have to look in your mirrors to make sure a lunge isn't happening. So he's going to try and keep that gap. 8/10 to a second is a really nice gap to look after the tyres as well for the second half of the race.
So pairing off again, look, as now Safronov gets up onto the back of Charlie Hart, whose father was a very rapid GT racer. Grandfather, Hart, used to be a truck racer of some repute, Stan Hart, going back quite a few years. So the race leaders have gone by. We've had 8.5 minutes of the race done when they crossed the beam, and 0.8 of a second is that margin. Josh Rattigan will give way to Mackenzie Cresswell in his first year of GT racing. Luke Ibanez will give way to Alex Papadopoulos, who did race in the championship last year. I would suggest, looking outside as well, that it's a little bit more overcast than it was. It's not quite as bright and sunny, and the temperature just feels like it's dropped a little bit, which may have an impact.
Yeah, we've lost 5 degrees of track temp, so 10% cooler. So that will be something the teams will be considering. Is that BMW fully back up to speed now? So luckily for them, they're getting on with it. But Bessler looks like the man on the move. He's gapped Van der Ende, hasn't he, who was all over him for the first 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes have fully gone now in favour of that blue BMW.
Race leaders currently work lap number 6. As you look there at Gabriele Ilkova ahead of Hendrik Still. This is the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th ahead of the pair Vinny Beltramelli, Paul Ricard winner in the Porsche Cayman. And after a bad qualifying, which came after an off in testing, there is the Hendrik Still Joachim Bolting. Try again, yes, Joachim Bolting Porsche. Yellow in sector 2, somebody's had an off. You'll see the back of that Porsche has got different bodywork, legacy of its off yesterday, and there with something coming out of the front, that's 39 again, isn't it, Buda under 2?
Yeah, it's dropping something. Is it smoke or is it liquid? I think we're missing the Lotus as well. Is there big contact between these two? That's liquid. And it looks low on that side as well. Do we have got a puncture or something? Certainly the bodywork has dropped. There's a whole geyser gushing out of that car, and the Lotus has stopped as well. Is there contact on the rear of that Lotus to the front of the Aston? That Aston keeps dropping that fluid. That's going to be a worry for some of the drivers. The Lotus was 30th, the Aston was 25th, so it may not necessarily be related, but you're right, the Aston now, having put a bit of liquid down up at turn 10, is off the road. Now, if that's only water, it should evaporate pretty quickly. Hopefully, it won't be a major problem. That lead gap's come down, hasn't it, from 7/10 to 6/10. Luke Ibanez having another push in the Mercedes AMG GT4 to try to get up onto the back of the McLaren. You see how much curb is being used by Josh Rattigan. Certain parts of the racetrack are being policed, others less so. So where you get a free ride, as it were, the driver's trying to exploit that. You see the Lotus parts in the background approaching turn 8, but it was this part of the circuit where we saw
the Aston dropping liquid, and both the leading cars there having a bit of a drama. So Ratigan now treating the next corner with circumspection just to make sure he does have some grip.
Yeah, and he is wide, and Ibanez went in tight. Completely different lines there. Was that Ibanez just turning in early to be safe?
Full course yellow is coming. Full course yellow now called. So to get cars out of the way and maybe treat any liquid, we have a full course yellow, and 81 also is in the pit lane. So drama for the Josh Dynson McLaren, and that was going well early on, but you see the big witness mark in the right-hand door.
Yeah, it's had a huge whack, and not too much to get damaged on the McLaren on that door, so it must be something else why that car isn't out there circulating. The full course yellow to get these two cars, the Lotus and the Aston, to a safer place. And interesting that the Lotus looks fine from the front. So we've got 3 damaged cars, and we've got to piece together, were they together, and at which point did which one hit who?
So everybody slows down. If it's only a brief full course yellow, we can go back to green. There is, with a bit of damage on the front, the Hendrick still, Joachim Bolting Porsche. You see that white rear section, a legacy of the damage sustained yesterday. And for the first time all season, Hendrick still did not get pole position in his class in qualifying. So he was well and truly beaten to that. Stanislav Safronov then leads the Pro-Am section at the moment. There he is.
I wonder if he went too early down to the 80Ks, because he was only half a second behind the Hart McLaren last time by, and that gap much bigger now. So as they get the full course yellow, the team will count them down from 10 to get to 80, but I feel he must have slowed down early, or did Charlie Hart go late?
Well, the data and the delta speeds provided by Swiss Timing, the timekeeping service, will announce if there are any dramas to race control. Of course, under a full course yellow, the gaps should not necessarily come down, depending on where you are. For example, when a full course yellow is called, if you're in a slow section as opposed to somebody in a quick, and vice versa. But if you go safety car, then the gaps will come down. The Lotus is towed out of the way.
Can't see much damage on it, so I can only assume that's an actual mechanical failure.
I'm starting to think they are 2 separate incidents that came at the same time, really.
They had one at Spa as well, and they've trying to be getting on top of that car to keep it going, but it's fast over a lap for sure, that car.
Yeah, they've had a class win, haven't they? And still, in fairness, they were second in the Pro-Am Championship. Full course yellow ending on short notice, so this is where the teams have to be ready. You could just hear in the background the team shouting green flag, so we're back racing, and this is where the team giving the information to the driver has to be so good so they don't lose time. And right round the outside of Hadrian David, there goes Van der Ende. That's a brave move in the BMW. Van der Ende has got past Bessler as well, so Berke Bessler has gone back 2 places out of all of that, so it's a very good restart by Van der Ende.
Yeah, and that's all happened since turn 1 on the restart. So Van der Ende, did he go early, or was Bessler sleeping? But he's had an amazing start to the lap here. 2 places gained for Van der Ende. Now can he chase down the top 3?
Let's see how he goes then. There's the lapped Ginetta to clear first of all. So there is Berke Bessler going through. You've got Greg Gilbert back in the mix, and Charlie Hart as well. So the race leading cars then currently work lap number 8. Van der Ende, Hadrian David, and then Berke Bessler, Greg Gilbert just ahead of that white McLaren of Charlie Hart in 8th place. A long line of cars then, the Toyota sandwiched between the 2 BMW M4s, but the Supra is on a BMW floor plan, so they come together as a family almost, up towards the timing line. Benjamin Lariche, we barely mentioned in 3rd place. He's just having a really quiet run in 3rd spot, keeping the car in the mix, ready to hand over to Robert Consani. And now, look, Van der Ende getting away from a very crossed-up Toyota of Hadrian David, who was wrong into 1. He's compromised into 2. He's going to be slow off 3. He's way up the curb, and he's sideways again. The door is wide open for Berke Bessler. Hadrian David almost puts a neon sign up saying come on through, because he was way offline. And now Gilbert in the Audi gets up the inside as well. He's going to be on the wrong side of the racetrack for the next corner, so the Supra hangs on to its place. Wonderful shot looking down from the drone. You could see the way different cars were working at different lines as the road came to them or went away. Charlie Hart's McLaren tries to get in on the act as well, but Hadrian David there got it wrong at turn 1, and he was really struggling all the way to turn 5.
Yeah, I thought Gilbert was going to go in the back of him there. He just couldn't get the car stopped. Again, has got a run on that Supra. Very leery on the rear end at the moment. Is that the tyres just dropping? Charlie Hart trying to get to the inside of Gilbert. Gilbert trying to attack and defend. I think the Audi will have the straight line performance round the outside, down the long back straight.
Here they come then with Ricardo van der Ende then moving clear of the traffic. Berke Bejler with some good, pretty feisty racing has got himself up the order again. And while all that has been going on, Ratican now leads by over a second. So there is Hadrien David, who is still pushing in that Toyota Supra, but now pushing in order to defend that place from Greg Gilbert. You've got two drivers there that are both lost out in the early parts of the race, trying to regroup, and Charlie Hart in that McLaren, oh so close to getting in on that battle, but maybe just thinking the way these two are going, they might drive into each other in a moment. Certainly that Supra is looking ever more leery. Greg Gilbert comes out of 16 up towards the line, and then that white McLaren is next in the queue with, in 9th place in the background, Stanislav Safronov, who is still leading the Pro-Am class in the Aston Martin. Is Hadrien David a bit more controlled this time? Oh yeah, you bet.
Yeah, just looking to see which cars have got which strength still. McLaren definitely one of the weakest in a straight line, but the best under brakes, it seems. By my bad mathematics, we've got 8 different manufacturers inside the top 13. So balanced performance working well. The only manufacturer not represented is the Ginetta and the Lotus, which have both had mechanical issues. Yeah. So balanced performance working phenomenally well here at Misano.
Sadly, Josh Dynasson is still in the pit lane in the other RAFA Racing Club McLaren. As you look at Hadrien David then, who had a really good start to the season. They finished second, Hadrien and Jan Duran, in the first race at Paul Ricard. They finished second in the second race at Paul Ricard. They got second at Zandvoort. They've been there or thereabouts, regular front runners all season, but not having had a win, and gradually they're falling away within the championship. Now what's going on further back? Well, you've got Hendrick still there, but Pedro Ibrahim, look, comes up the inside. Now remember, number 11 BMW is now 15th in the race, and it started 38th on the grid. Mathematician Osborne will now tell you how many people he's overtaken.
23 is pretty impressive, isn't it, in 18 minutes or so. So they're going well. The other math I've been looking at is track limits. Remember, 6 warnings, they get a penalty. Ratican has had 2. Everyone behind on 1. And there's a couple of 3s, Charlie Hart and Safronov. They've already used 3, so half of their lives in only a third of this race, if you want it in fractions, David.
Thank you very much. And they're not helping their co-driver much either in terms of availability. So the car's now up towards the end of the lap. Ratican to Ibanez. That's come right down again to half a second. Benjamin Lariche, though, is 1.6 seconds back in 3rd place. Now, there's another Toyota BMW battle going on here, but it is now for 14th place. Gabriela Yilkova ahead of Pedro Ibrahim, and the BMW lines up for a pass on the inside. Gabriela Yilkova tried to close the door a bit late, but Ibrahim goes through. There was no contact, and a good late dive by Pedro Ibrahim up into 14th place then. So from 38th to 14th, and there's still more progress to be made, especially when you put into that car Jagish Gaidik for the 2nd stint.
24 places gained now for that BMW. Hendrick's still not got much pace. 4th in class, so not a disaster in that regard. He's got some bodywork hanging off front left corner. Just looks like a bit of the trim. Shouldn't be affecting the pace, but that Porsche just not as quick as we've been used to seeing it this season.
That's right, and it's been a bit of a mystery as to Hendrick still as to why not. In the AM class, though, you have got a Cayman leading the way. Max Kronberg is clear of Jean-Mathieu Leandri in the class. Now, this is for the outright race lead as well as for silver honours, and all of a sudden, Luc Ibanez is right on the back of Josh Ratican. So after a quiet start, maybe, that Mercedes has suddenly come alive. Don't forget as well, there is the pit window in this race between 25 and 35 minutes. It's a 95-second pit stop line to line. We've only got 5 minutes, really, before we have to think about stops.
I think people are going to want to go late because it's such a long pit lane here. The enforced 95 seconds. I think that's going to equate to almost a full lap, because a lap time here is 101 seconds. So with the in and out, it's going to be really tight. So if you box early, you potentially go a lap down and fall into the traffic you were fighting anyway. So I think people want to go late in the window unless you're really bottled up behind a slow car.
So as the race leaders make their way over the line, the gap 4 tenths between the top 2. There is the charging Pedro Ibrahim, who will come across the stripe now with yet more ground gain. Ratican versus Ibanez, and over the last 3 laps you can see how that Mercedes AMG has been chipping away at the deficit today. McLaren Artura that accelerates now down towards turn 8. Quetch here is the corner, and Ratican sets the Elite Motorsport car ahead of the NM Racing Team entry. The NM is here racing himself this weekend, Neil Montserrat, in the GT2 races. So we've done 11 laps, we've done 20 minutes.
Yeah, Neil Mosrat on pole position as well in GT2 qualifying. So the drivers for his whole team are under pressure now. The boss showing him how to do it. The McLaren very strong in Sector 1, very weak in Sector 2. And it feels even between these two cars in Sector 3. So this is where Ibanez is at his best. That Ginetto's great pace, hasn't it? Shame they had a problem early on. Bessler now back in front of Van der Engh. So that position swapped back once more. What can Bessler do? Can he start to close that 2-second gap to the podium?
And he will give that car over to Gabriele Piana for the second stint. So he's got himself up into fourth at the expense of Ricardo van der Ende as the BMWs then accelerate out of the hairpin. Gilbert still stuck behind Hadrian David, isn't he? That Supra, the long-nosed Toyota, keeping the Audi at bay. New car as well for Gilbert after the previous chassis was demolished at Spa. Out of 16 they come, up towards the timing line now. And as they run over the line, the leaders are still covered by 0.4 of a second. We're 3 minutes and change off that pit window opening as the leaders go by, and a cheeky look to the inside by Gilbert, more in hope than in anticipation. That I think was more to rattle Gilbert as the drone looks down on the BMW battle, and it is still Bessler ahead of Van der Ende. Becke Bessler's next target, Benjamin-Lariche, but he's got to make up 4.7 seconds before he does that, and Bessler is busy defending again. Van der Ende on his boot lid.
How much time have these two BMWs lost battling each other? Whoever's in front seems to be the slower one. It doesn't matter which one, whoever is the lead one doesn't have the pace. I don't think that's down to slipstream. I think that is just the advantage of being behind and being able to hustle on and not look in your mirrors. They're just doing such similar lap times, but if they could have worked together, they would be much closer to the podium, but neither one wants to be the car behind in this Inter-BMW battle.
Two different teams, same type of car, the M4 GT4, but the Borasan Automotive Motorsport team running one. L'Espace Bienvenu runs the other car, which will be taken over by Benjamin Lessen, and he will go toe-to-toe with Gabriele Piana. Down towards us they come at Curvoni. Behind is still Hadrian David in the Toyota. Then Greg Gilbert, Audi. 8th, Charlie Hart, white McLaren. So through goes Van der Ende, somebody else with a really good pedigree in GT4 racing over the seasons, having won the French, the European Championship, and then the European Series. This is the replay of how the places changed. A little bit of a run between them, but switching sides was Becke Bessler, and he got the run up towards turn 9.
Yeah, good move to get that then done round the outside eventually. And Ibanez just sitting on the rear bumper. That Ginetta is doing exactly the same lap times as the leaders, so that's why he's sticking with her. And Van der Ende lost a bit of time there potentially on the last lap. Safronov has now closed the gap back up to Charlie Hart. After that full course yellow period, we saw how much time he lost. This is the period of the track where the McLaren is strong, but it doesn't look like it. The Mercedes is either getting better or the McLaren's getting worse in this middle sector. They can use as much curb as they want on the apex as the general rule, but the exits are very heavily policed.
So the race leaders absolutely tied together, and in the majority of cases with the quicker driver in first, or the more experienced, if you like. In the case of the McLaren, which is now under massive attack, Ibanez gets down low, up the curb, coming out of turn 8, up towards the kink at 9. Can't quite get around the McLaren there, but Ibanez tries to line up to switch sides, but he found a face full of Artura. Ratican comes off the inside line, goes wide at 10 then. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, up the inside line goes Luke Ibanez into the lead.
Yeah, it's going to be a drag race, but it favours the car on the left. The three-pointed star should have the power here. It's staying relatively level though. Ratican's going to try and go around the outside, and now will have to concede as the circuit keeps going right. And it just looks like Ibanez did a mega job of sitting in the blind spot. Ratican trying to get to the inside, and Ibanez just eases over. Really good driving from both, but Ibanez just seemed to sit in the blind spot, and Ratican lost him, went in too deep into 10, which then hurt his exit all the way down the back straight.
So, new race leader, and Luke Ibanez. It'll be interesting now to see partly whether he can get away, but also how long he's going to stay out there for. My guess would be for the majority of the window, which opens now as the leading cars come by. But you're going to have to go quite a long way down the order, really, to find a team that has any use for an early pit stop.
Yeah, that last lap was a huge gain for Lariche. 1.5 seconds gained on that last lap. Yes, they were battling, but Lariche also did the purple sector 3 on that lap. So that Audi is getting quicker and quicker, and that was his best lap. We see a few cars boxing. You can see the counter going all the way up. That needs to be 95 seconds when they cross the exit line. It's going to be roughly 50 seconds stationary because the pit lane's so long here, 620 meters. Bit of bodywork damage on that BMW as well. There's been a few side-to-side contacts, but luckily at the moment we've really only lost 3 cars.
That BMW was one that we saw being roughed up at 16 early on, wasn't it? Gustavo Xavier's car. So that brought into the pit lane early by the look of it as the rest go on. And Hendrick still being roughed up as well. Now that Porsche dropping back in the queue, as past him there goes the Meloni family BMW. Davide Meloni at the wheel of it. Hendrick still then falling down the order, and an incident between him and Gabriele Ilkova, number 99 Toyota, has been noted, but Hendrick still is going backwards, not forwards, so this is not how we normally expect to see 32 Porsche going.
No, it's the only time this season I've seen Hendrick still losing positions, and multiple positions in this race. I just wonder that crash they had in testing, hence the white rear bumper, has that caused more issues than they thought? Hendrick still in qualifying said, oh, it was just the lack of track time. These cars, proper race cars, sensitive. Have they tweaked something on the suspension, on the rear subframe even? And look at the pace of the Bagnaia. What's he gap? The McLaren there, Racing must be nearly a second, and the gap almost smaller now to the McLaren, to the Audi, than it is to the Mercedes.
Yeah, you're right, Lariche certainly coming back into the fray, isn't he, as over the line they go. Now that last lap from Ibanez was a 41.8, a 42.5 for Ratigan. That's the second off his best, and a 41.8 from Lariche. So it's the McLaren there that's lost pace somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, as we see another McLaren trying to go around the outside. Great move from Charlie Hart there. He's been fighting that Audi almost the whole stint, it feels like, and he finally gets past Gilvet, who now has the Pro-Am leader of Safronov in the Aston Martin behind.
Yeah, that move has been in the post, hasn't it, for a while, but he's finally done it. So he got himself up past Greg Gilbert. Stanislav Safronov, as you say, the Pro-Am leader, back into the mix. This is all the way down to 9th. In 10th place, by the way, is the Mustang of Eric Evans, number 61, that just does not have the pace. So leaders on lap number 16. And right now, you've got Luca Ibanez clear by 11/10 of a second, and Hendrick still is being given a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. So not only has the car been dropping places and has never really had the speed that it needs, and he's now way down to about 5th in class, but a 5-second time penalty just compounds the woes.
Yeah, they've got a very healthy lead in the Pro-Am Championship at the moment. 59 points clear, but that will be a worry for them. Especially that 5 seconds going to drop them right back into another group of cars as well. So it's hard fought, but the officials there saying Hendrick still is at fault. And yeah, Yilkova's lost a load of time as well. She's only in the back of the shot just there. So must have been a side-to-side contact from Still, but he was the aggressor, so he was the one at fault.
They're going through as number 48, Davide Meloni, at the wheel of the BMW that he shares with his father, Paolo Meloni. And that currently in the mix as far as Pro-Am is concerned. But the order continues to shuffle lap after lap as Berke Beschler comes in from 4th place to give way now to Gabriele Piana. Shrewd move that, because we know that Piana is really quick. Gets him in the car early, as in this little battle you've got then coming down towards us the Vinny Beltramelli driven Porsche, just ahead of Davide Meloni in the BMW. Up towards the timing line they go. Meloni having worked his way up the order on that lap. Hendrick still behind, and then another of the BMWs in the queue, Lucas Cartel next up. But Meloni here having a red hot go to find a way by, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not really an overtake there into 3, but the next corner into 4 and 5 is a potential one. Is he going to pop to the inside? He does. Has he got enough of the car down the inside? He has. Good driving as well from the 24 Porsche there. Goes off wide, but he gave him the space. I'm not sure he had to run as wide as there. I couldn't see any contact, but now Hendrick's still on the back of him.
Yeah, it looked as though Meloni was pretty wide as well, and there wasn't a lot of option for the Porsche, but now Hendrick still tries to move up the inside. He's committed to the line coming down towards turn 8, last of the late breakers. Cartel in the BMW is right there as well. And he does just lean on the back of the Porsche, but they survive the experience. So Hendrick still goes through. He gets the line on the inside. Back into the race, incidentally, has just gone. The Audi, you can see it there, now in the hands of Paul Petit, and also the BMW that was Berke Beschler is now Gabriele Piana. Now there, having stopped on the road, is the Gustavo Xavier BMW, and that's offline, but it's on a quick part of the racetrack. Yellow flags in sector 2, and I would imagine that if that car can't restart, then we're going to end up with another full course yellow, because you can't leave it there.
Now it's just rolling now, but is that enough to stop this full course yellow? Would shake up the pit stop window massively. Cars diving into pit lane, but cars still at full speed, so they're potentially going to lose out if it stays green.
It's almost worth that it's limping. If it's stationary, at least you know where it is. If it's constantly on the move, but at snail's pace, it becomes more of a hazard. That is Lariche, who was third, giving way to former rally driver Robert Consani.
We've gone back to green, sorry, to interrupt, so the BMW up to speed.
Okay, that's the good news. Hopefully, it ain't going to do it again, because the last thing race control need is the car with an intermittent problem. Down the pit road is just Cam Hendrick still, and also Lucas Cartel's BMW. So they gained a place and then pit at the end of the lap. There, ready to go, is the speed car Audi. It is now Robert Consani at the wheel. He takes over from Benjamin Lariche. Remember, they were winners at Paul Ricard. They were winners at Zandvoort. And they were third last time out at Spa in that slightly shorter race, the restarted race. So, more pit stops cycle through. The Toyota, now with Jan Duran at the wheel, gets away. And Safronov and Alexander Weintraub's Aston is slow away.
See how angry Safronov there in the white suit was. The car controller lifted the lollipop. It was like the car wasn't on, just didn't move at all. And that is a lot of time lost. Looking at pit stops, no one under the time. Very few cars even using their 1 second joker allowance so far. You're allowed to do that once a weekend. Seems most teams saving that at the moment for race 2.
And the Lucas Cartel BMW that has just pitted to give way to Lucas Suliano, that's on its last warning for track limits. So it's totting up time. Into the pits has come the leader. The clock starts for Lucas Ibanez to give way to Alex Papadopoulos. And there is another troubled Mercedes. That's another of the NM Racing Team cars, is it not? That's the Igor Sorokin Keith Gatehouse car from the AM class. And it's limping on.
Worst time to get a puncher as well. It's pretty much going to do the 4 kilometres here at Misano, and the front left takes a pounding round here with so many long radius right-handers, and you can see that Toyota Audi battle still raging on.
It's Sorokin at the wheel, so it's yet to stop. So it's due a pit stop anyway, but you're right, it's going to be a really slow in-lap. Now, did he hit a curb to do the tyre, or the tyre went down? That would suggest the tyre went down as he tried to get to the corner.
Yeah, at turn 1 of 16 corners. That is real bad luck. Must have had a slow puncher at some point. I'd be surprised if it was a complete failure. Maybe no TPMS as we see the 8 car around.
That's Paul Petit then, so fresh into the car, and Paul Petit has a spin up at turn 10, and that looked like he did that all on his own. So Paul Petit with a costly mistake, or did he do it on his own? There was a Toyota nearby, and Jan Duran has a dive up the inside. Apologies, there was a whack, and around he went. So Paul Petit, with more than just a bit of hip and shoulder, gets well and truly fired off the road.
Yeah, rotated by the Toyota. I don't think he expected the Toyota to get to the inside, and then the Toyota, I don't feel, was alongside enough to not attract a penalty there. I think that Toyota may get a 5 or 10 second added to the race time.
Now there, the McLaren has been handed over to Mackenzie Cresswell. So the car that led early on dropped to second. Now with its second driver aboard, comes out of turn 3. Uses as much of the curb on the inside as is possible, and now makes that run along the short straight towards the hairpin. There behind is Robert Consani, so it's McLaren ahead of Audi as ever it was. There's Gabriele Piana in the BMW. Then you've got the McLaren, Charlie Hart giving way to Callum Davis. Jan Duran is next. So there has been a little bit of shuffling, but we really need to see where Papadopoulos blends back in, and also Benjamin Lassen having taken over from Van der Ende.
Yeah, exactly. That NM Racing Mercedes will be the one where we need to see where it's in. And Piana looks like he's had good opening pace of this stint as well. And so does that McLaren. Charlie Hart had a strong opening stint, and hopefully Callum Davis can continue that.
So Alex Papadopoulos then is heading down towards turn 11. Behind him is Mackenzie Cresswell in the yellow McLaren. Behind him is the multicoloured Audi of Benjamin Lariche, and then the blue BMW of Gabriele Piana. The incident between Duran and Petit, there in the background, or at least the Supra is in the background. That's under investigation, perhaps no surprise. And we've got just over 25 minutes of the race to go. The last of the pit stops now cycling through, largely BMWs, because Benjamin Lassen is about to rejoin. Paolo Maloney likewise, and Joachim Balder taking over from Victor Bouvin.
Yeah, two Astons battling here just inside the top 15. The Aston bonnets all flapping a lot here, and they wouldn't have had an update, but just the high-speed nature of Misano seems like the air getting underneath the bonnet and just flapping it around. That'd be a slight distraction for the drivers, but all the Astons seem to be doing it, so it's not an isolated issue for one car, say.
The BMW of now Tudoraci has a 5-second penalty for track limits. So the totting up has totted, and more now with penalties looming. The racing spirit of Le Mans Aston goes through, as in the Pro-Am situation. Now the order shuffles after the pit stop. So the race order is Alex Papadopoulos ahead now in the Mercedes that he's taken over from Luc Ibanez. That's Joachim Valder having taken over from Victor Bouvec joining in. Second is Mackenzie Cresswell, but only just because there is Robert Consani right up behind him. So through they come now, heading up towards turn 9, and this is exactly what Papadopoulos needs, isn't it? Those two squabbling, holding each other up, allowing him to build the lead. Consani having a look up the inside, and he makes it work.
Yeah, very easy. It's going to be a drag race again, but the McLaren doesn't seem to go. This is round 2 now for the elite McLaren, wasn't it? It lost out to the Mercedes in the first part and has already lost out to the Audi, and that Audi makes the job done very easy. Good move from Consani. It's finished stint 1 very strong, didn't it, with Lariche, and now Consani seems to be the man on the move. Has he got enough pace to close down the lead Mercedes?
And they're thinking championship, aren't they, as well, because they've been bridesmaids for so many years. They desperately want that championship this year, and they know it comes through banking points. Last year they had all sorts of bad luck or penalties or both, but it's been a really solid effort as the RAFA Racing Club car of Callum Davis is in the gravel. That was the one Charlie Hart was doing great things with earlier on. Callum Davis manages even in the gravel to spin it round and rejoin, and that was coming out of turn 13.
Yeah, and quite an early place to lose the car without assistance. Can't see any obvious damage. I can see a lot of gravel falling out the back, but you would expect to see some witness marks on the right-hand side of this car if there were contact, and I can't see any. So maybe the car just got loose on him. Does well to get rejoining, but a lot of time lost.
A lot of time lost, and there is a 5-second penalty coming for causing a collision to number 96, which is the Vladikin Loboda BMW. Right, let's have a look, and the McLaren seems to go off all on its own.
Yeah, it does. I think he was distracted by the Toyota behind, looked in his right mirror, missed the apex on the dirty side, and he spun himself.
Right, talking Toyotas, 87, Jan Duran. Remember, he was involved with Paul Petit. Well, he's just picked up a 10-second penalty for causing a collision. So 87 Supra is in strife. There is Gabriele Piano working his way past Ajit Kumar, the Tamil actor. And also behind there, look, is Marco Signoretti. It's not Piano, I'll tell you alive. That's Jagish Gaidik. So 38th they started, and 7th that car runs. That's impressive.
That's insanely good, isn't it? And 31 places gained now for that car. Signoretti doing well as well. They were struggling for pace. Now they've broken properly into the top 10. Of course, they've been aided by Petit getting spun around. He wants to get past Ajit Kumar as quickly as he can, though, because he's got 2 cars on his rear. Kumar doing a good job so far, keeping out the way.
Right, so number 11, Jagish Gaidik, is going to gain another place because of the time penalty for the Toyota of Jan Duran up the road. So, as you see there, the Audi, the recovering Audi of Paul Petit, he's managed to get past Alexander Weintraub, and Ajit Kumar went for the line for the corner, unsighted, didn't realise that Paul Petit was there, and now up the inside line is going to go Weintraub, so he moves ahead of the Audi, and that for Paul Petit could have ended a lot worse, but it's certainly not been the result he wanted. He's lost a place.
Yeah, and that Aston lost 4 seconds in the pit stop. Remember, it was slow around Petit. I think, oh, he's coming back feisty there. This isn't a class battle, so the Aston might not fight this too hard. And I expect Petit now to claim the inside and get the job done. I think that was a miscalculated move from Petit, going around the outside there. Kumar was always going to take his racing line. I just think it was desperation. He's been spun round, he's trying to gain time back, but that wasn't the right way to do as the very loose Audi accelerates out of turn 4 and 5.
He's certainly got the car by the scruff of the neck, hasn't he, as he comes up behind the red and white Porsche. And this time around ought to be able to get past Ajit Kumar pretty easily, coming down towards turn 8. But yes, he's made that slightly hard for himself, as you say, by putting himself offline. That Porsche in a sort of pseudo cigarette livery, coming up now towards turn 9. Now the race has got 20 minutes to go, and Papadopoulos leads from Robert Consani by 3.2 seconds, and Robert Consani is quicker in the second placed Audi. Is there, Alexander Weintraub tries to get himself now up past the Porsche to put a lap on Ajit Kumar, again coming here for the first time.
Porsche got a good straight line speed, so the Aston looking frustrated as we go to our race leader, putting another lap on the board. And Consani is in striking distance. He won't be relaxing just yet, Raparos. And then you've got that Audi looking quick, Cresswell there. But I actually think the BMW, both BMWs are catching Cresswell as well.
Lead gap, 2.8 seconds, so much the quicker at the minute is Consani than Papadopoulos, as Ajith Kumar comes under attack, this time from Alexander Weintraub to put a lap on Matt Cayman, and the road opens up now for Weintraub as a cross. Thought for a moment they were going to make contact there. That was a very sudden change of direction from Kumar. Thankfully, the Aston was clear.
It's all Hollywood, baby, isn't it? That's his background. Wow. And yeah, that lost a lot of time for the Aston as well, though. So, yeah, battles raging on. And this is where interclass battles get interesting. And that was an interclass contact between the Aston, and the Aston's going to get a penalty for that.
Yellow in sector 1, 98 was turned around, Joachim Walder. You saw cars going off the road in avoidance, so if that was a track limit, it'll have to be removed from the system because they had nowhere else to go. And up the inside line in the end, there dives number 96 BMW, Michael Loboda at the wheel. That's another car that's got up the order now, and he's heading for 13th place. So busy out on the racetrack. More of the BMWs run wide as they come towards us, including the recovering number 310. So that was the car that was struggling earlier on with penalties, but Tudor Tudorache at the wheel, up now through turn 8.
Yeah, I think the 74 car there of Kuhlmann, it wasn't particularly a Kuhlmann move, was it? And I think he will get probably a 10-second penalty for that. Luckily, no damage on the 74, but went for a lunge at 2 and just turned that BMW around.
So we've got 18 minutes and change as Papadopoulos leads by 2.8 seconds. Sector 1, Consani slightly slower. Sector 2, Consani quicker. There, number 74, Aston Martin then comes towards turn 13, and David Kuhlmann at the wheel of it tries to make a move up the inside against the McLaren. No way through there, but he's not giving up, is he? Certainly not giving up.
Yeah, another bit of contact for that Aston. 2 hits in a single lap. He's fired up for sure, and that shows you the competitive nature of these drivers. This is over 12th position, least us forget.
So over the timing line they come. No investigation necessary, say race control, about the Paul Petit Ajith Kumar moment. So play on. Leaders go through, lead gap down again to 2.6 seconds. Now, 8.12, Callum Davis has recovered well to jump up through that melee and get himself ahead of David Kuhlmann. That's number 7 of Alexander Weintraub. He is the leader in Pro-Am, and they've not yet had a victory in Pro-Am this season, he and Stanislav Safronov. So this is an overdue lead, and with 17 minutes should be converted into P1.
Yeah, his pace looking very strong, able to stay in the 43s most laps, 44 in the last lap, but yeah, he's probably at a point now where he's just looking at being metronomic with the last 15 minutes coming up. He's okay on track limits as well. Our race leader, though, has used 4 of those 6, so they will want to keep some in reserve. And just remember, as soon as they do their 6th one, they will get a 5-second penalty.
Now the lead gap, 2.6 seconds between Papadopoulos and Consani. Mackenzie Cresswell third, but dropping away a little bit, as you see there. Battle on between 19 and 20. BMW versus Mercedes. 20 is Lucas Giuliano, and it is Mark Kastelich ahead of him now in number 19, Mercedes AMG. So that's for 20th place, and the two of them still side by side as they ran down towards turn 11. And then in the AM Cup, Anthony de Barn has put 317 BMW into the lead once more, and they're looking for a 4th class win in 7 races. Jean-Mathieu Leandre and Anthony de Barn. Now, there is a 10-second penalty going the way of number 74, which is David Kuhlmann for causing a collision.
I've either got everyone right or race control just agree with me, so we're on a roll here. Let's keep that going. The other thing that is on a roll is Consani. The lead gap now down to 1.7 seconds. That gap 9/10 on the last lap alone, and Kumar trying to get out of the way, but causing a lot of issues for cars who are in their own race.
Yeah, they've encountered him in exactly the wrong part of the lap, haven't they? One side goes the BMW, another one up the inside. That's the recovering Paul Petit. As you see, number 11 BMW, then another place gained. Jagish Gedich goes ahead of Jan Duran, who took over from Hadrian David. Gedich in for Pedro Ibrahim. So from absolutely flat last on the grid, they started in Católica. They're now up into the top 6. That's a mighty effort by both Pedro Ibrahim in the first stint and Jagish Gedich. Now, that BMW was not done yet either, because they're still pushing. The next target is the sister car of Gabriele Piana. Okay, it's quite a long way up the road, but you never know what might happen.
Yeah, that Piana car, the sister car to the one we're looking at, must have had a terrible in or out lap, because remember that was fighting with the 17 BMW. It was in front, wasn't it, when it was the first part of the stint, Bester versus Van der Eng, and the pit stop time was fine, so it can only be an in or an out lap, because that car, I think, should have been fighting for an overall podium at some point, but yeah, something has happened to that car for sure.
And there is the number 17 BMW with Benjamin Lessène at the wheel of it, and he's also charging along now. So the former French GT front runner, champion in 2020, right on the back, used to race touring cars as well, Benjamin Lessène, and now you can see, look, Mackenzie Cresswell having to go defensive. This is for third overall, third in silver, and that BMW looking as though it is when, not if, it finds a way through.
Yeah, and it is dragging Piana with him too, isn't it? But Piana now has to try and close that gap while the McLaren holds up the BMW. That's his only chance of a podium. There's 3 cars going for one final podium position.
So to the inside line, feints Benjamin Lessène, and he forces a mistake out of Cresswell, who goes deep into the corner. The BMW squirts up the inside. Gabriele Piana is almost with them as well. Benjamin Lessène on the outside line to the kink at 9. He wants the inside line for turn 10. So we've seen the BMW make moves here in the past. Can't do it this.
Reversible top மற்றும் 20 வருட வாரண்டியுடன் கூடிய Curl-on Durest. உங்க மெத்தையோட டாப்பை firm, softன்னு இரண்டு பக்கமும் யூஸ் பண்ணுங்க. உங்க லைஃப் ஆயிடும் ஹூலா ஹூலா.
That's going to be a 5-second penalty for me. Why he didn't lift off and give the penalty back, it was clear as day. He just went in the back, pushed the McLaren wide and took the place. Very low IQ driving, in my opinion.
So Benjamin Lessène not only gets the place rather brutally, but didn't self-censure. Now, I wonder whether the team might be on the radio saying, give the place back before we get a penalty. What he wants to do, of course, if that is the situation, is not be compromised against Piana's BMW. So now he's between a rock and a hard place. He either stays where he is and risks a penalty, or he tries to give back the place in the McLaren and is at risk of being jumped by Piana.
Yeah, there's no way he could slot in between that McLaren and BMW. Now it's Piana trying to force the issue 2, trying to go around the outside of 1 is difficult, but it's compromised now as he tries down the inside of 2. We saw some interesting moves, but Cresswell runs wide there. It's that McLaren, as soon as you show it a car in its mirror, it just loses a position. It's the worst car, it seems, to be able to hold on, and that was the easiest move ever.
Now, number 17 must give back position on car 78. Trouble is, that's going to cost Lessène 2 places now, look, not only because Piana is ahead, but also think about the amount of time he's going to hemorrhage, because there's a gap between the 2 BMWs, and what race control are saying is to Benjamin Lessène, you hit the yellow McLaren, you've got to get back behind it. But Piana's not going to slot back in behind as well and redress the situation in that respect. He's going to be the big winner.
I said it was going to be hard for Piana to get a podium. It was if everyone played well, but it's just been handed to him. And now the BMW goes, slightly compromises Piana there, slightly dirty, but now Steele needs to lift off all the way down this back straight.
Exactly. And if he'd have just done the backing off here a lap ago, he could have still been able to fight for position. Now, he still hasn't given it back to the McLaren, and he's lost out to Piana. So Benjamin Lessène, what did you say a lap ago about the brains trust in the car? He still hasn't done what he's being told to do by race control. The team surely is on the radio saying, you've got to let the McLaren through, otherwise we risk a big penalty. He's so focused, I think, on Piana, I thought he was letting him go so he could then drop behind the McLaren. I think it was actually the reverse of that. It was Piana having to force the issue and make a bold move.
Has he read the penalty wrong? He's got to give 1 position back. He's given 1 position back, but not to the right car. So I still agree, he has to give it back to McLaren, which he finally does now. His race has just unravelled through the simplest of mistakes. That was an easy podium. The pace he had, the gap he had to Piana, that will be painful for him to watch back.
And the instruction was very clear, must give position back on car 78. That yellow McLaren is car 78. So now Lessène is correct behind the McLaren, but while all that's been going on, Piana has caught past both of them and cleared away up the road.
There's a bit of traffic in front of them to contend with as well. We're just starting to lap the top 30 there. So that's Brunhagen and Blickel in front of them as this battle is going to rage on. And both drivers are going to be on the limiter. What's Lessène going to do? Is he just going to send it down the inside again at 10? Maybe he should give him a bit of a nudge on the apex. That seems to have worked well for him in the past. But 10 minutes remaining.
Here they come. Gabriele Piana then up into 3rd place. pounding along up the road, as this time the BMW does not get quite close enough to the McLaren. Now this is for the race lead. We've been saying the gap's been coming down, and little by little by little, Robert Consani's got himself onto the back of Alex Papadopoulos. Then the American driver coming into turn 12, just ahead as they accelerate their way now into the braking zone for the hairpin. Through that tight right, so it's still the Mercedes just ahead, but Robert Consani looking every which way to make a move. And with his rally background, he doesn't necessarily always look for the conventional lines. He's not afraid to try the outside or somewhere different. So Robert Consani, very, very rapid driver. He and Lariche make a great combination. They've been as a partnership now for many seasons. They know the car inside out. They know each other's strengths very well. While they're squabbling, though, Gabriele Piana is lapping quicker in third place. Piana is 5 seconds behind the Audi.
Yeah, Lassen has actually got past Cresswell as well, so that move has happened. We don't know if it was clean, but I do think this Audi just has more grip. You can see how tight he can keep the cars out of the corner. That Mercedes seems like the rear tyre's starting to drop off, and we've still got time for 4 more laps. This is going to be a mammoth task to keep the Mercedes in front.
So, for as long as Papadopoulos defends, Gabriele Piana is closing, and he's closing by about 0.3 to a sector. As up the inside line goes Robert Consani, gets the job done, goes wide. Papadopoulos tries to switch sides, but then he puts himself on the outside line for the next 2 corners. He needs to be wide in, tight out. Sometimes that will work, sometimes it won't, as we've seen in the past, and he can't get the inside line into the corner. He can coming out, so who's got the most drag? Who's got the most grunt? The Mercedes AMG on the inside line, the Audi on the outside. Brilliant racing this in the GT4 European Series. They go toe-to-toe down towards turn 11. Back up front goes Papadopoulos, but Robert Consani braves it out on the outside line. They are absolutely level, but Consani gets it done at turn 12 all the way around the outside. Does he go wide into the corner a little bit? Papadopoulos tries the inside line at 14. No way through. A job well done by Robert Consani in Team Speed Car. Very, very pleased about that, and that was a well-deserved race lead.
That is a move. That is the move of the highest order, the bravery to go round the outside there. 200 kilometers an hour as they fly through the kink of 12. Papadopoulos just needed to let off the brake, let off the lock, and just ease him out. That was his corner, and he lost it. That is a race-winning move, and Consani, that is one of the best overtakes I've ever seen, let alone here at Misano.
So Robert Consani then leads the way, 0.4 of a second when he came across the line. The danger for Papadopoulos now is the charging Gabriele Piana behind him. The gap was 5 seconds, it's now 3. So Piana is on a mission. Granted, Consani's lap won't be a perfect one last time because he had to do the overtaking, but look at the way that the Italian Gabriele Piana is going. He is absolutely flying. His last lap was a 42.3. That was a 1.5 seconds quicker than Consani, and it was 2.3 seconds quicker than Papadopoulos. Second place with 7 minutes to go beckons for the blue BMW here.
Yeah, what pace has the Mercedes got now? It's not defending, it's on its last warning. One more track limit, 5-second penalty will be on that Mercedes. Is that actually going to be the overtake for Piana? Is it going to be done from race control? I don't think he's got the pace to close that gap up, as we see this BMW battle that's been going on for the last 54 minutes still going on.
Mind you, Consani and Piana are on 4 track limit warnings, so they haven't got that much leeway. Granted, yeah, they're better off than the Mercedes. Now, meanwhile here, you've got Callum Davis ahead of the penalised David Kuhlmann, ahead of Paolo Melloni. Then the BMW in the mix as well, which is the Simpson car, Loboda at the wheel. So it is Michael Loboda, number 96, who's dropped back on this lap, just ahead of number 1 Mustang, the blue and white car of Michael Haverans. So the white McLaren, Callum Davis at the wheel of it, comes up towards turn 10. There, the Simpson Motorsport Michael Loboda driven M4, and Michael Haverans is right up behind in the number 1 Mustang. Cork in the bottle to a degree is the McLaren, but David Kuhlmann there coming to attack the McLaren and defend from all the BMWs stacked up behind him, with Paolo Melloni just ahead of Michael Loboda.
Yeah, Davis 8 seconds behind the car in front, and then it feels like he's got a pack of 9 cars behind him that are within 8 seconds, so it really shows the lack of pace for that McLaren, but Davis doing well to keep his elbows wide at the moment and hold on to 12th place.
So through they turn, making that run again on through turn 15. The race has 5.5 minutes left in it. Robert Consani is not getting away actually from Papadopoulos, and it's nearly 3 seconds covering the 3 leading cars. Piana still has to make up 2.3 seconds. He was only 0.7 quicker on that previous lap than Papadopoulos. While here, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, they all run as a battle pack, right the way down to 16th, number 1, Michiel Haverantz, coming now out of turn 3. Callum Davis doing a good job of being able to hang on to the place, even if he's not getting away, even if he's not catching anybody. He's not yet been tricked into an error and letting them go by. Bearing in mind, of course, he's regrouping from an earlier spin.
Yeah, and I don't know if that spin's caused an issue, the rear tyre, but he's lighting it up everywhere. So he must have turned the traction control off, and he's deciding he's faster controlling the near 500 horsepower these GT4 cars give out with his right foot, rather than using the highly sophisticated traction control systems in that car. But the rear tyres definitely losing out now as he's putting more and more rubber down onto the track.
So the race leader, Robert Consani, is currently on lap number 31. Here the leading battle is for McLaren and Aston Martin. The BMWs in the pack battling amongst themselves as well. We started with 38, we're down to 34 still circulating, which does include 88 McLaren after its puncture. Igor Sorokin limped it round and gave over to Keith Gatehouse, and that's at the rear of the field. Callum Davis under real attack here from David Kuhlmann. And Paolo Meloni second currently to this car in Pro-Am. So a long way up the road is the Alexander Weintraub driven Aston Martin. That is 88, Keith Gatehouse at the wheel of it, and a big effort made by David Kuhlmann on the outside. No way through there. Paolo Meloni has a look up the inside. No way through there. And also in the middle of all of that, you've got the Loboda BMW. Now say Maloney, where has Maloney gone to? He's disappeared altogether. So that was Loboda having a look at the inside. Haverantz goes through, and Maloney is way back, coming over the line now. So Paolo Maloney goes through a 153. He's had a moment somewhere, hasn't he? So Paolo Maloney drops a long way back, and that takes some of the pressure, at least, off Michael Loboda. That means he can attack, and a mistake is made there by Callum Davis. Look, he's been forced way out wide. He's got a problem. The smoke at the back.
Has he been hit from the rear? They can't see any major bodywork damage. Could be a mechanical failure, but the smoke and the lack of pace is definitely an issue. And annoyingly for Maloney as well, he's now dropped outside the podium as there's damage on that BMW.
And a puncture for Tudorache. We have in the past had BMWs having punctures here, but I wonder whether that's a tyre issue or a curb strike or contact with another car. But Tudorache limps on, and I think that happened coming over the line, because I saw out of our window a slow BMW, so he's got a very, very long limp home, and it is a puncture. You can see quite clearly the front rider's gone down.
The race leaders are only about 10 seconds behind this. Is that going to trip them up as they have to get past that very slow BMW?
Let's keep an eye then as the white flag is out, because there's another BMW going slowly in the background, and that's Michael Loboda's car. Look, that has slowed right down. So Loboda, number 96, he gained a place last time up to 14th, and now looks like he's in strife. Here is Consani, the leader, 2 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock, and I reckon he's going to start his last lap at the end of this one. There in second place is Alex Papadopoulos. Gabriele Piana is third, 1.8 seconds back, still hustling on, but he hasn't really got there in time. It was, and off the road now altogether. Spectacularly goes the Porsche there, number 259 of Bas Visser, and that is coming out of turn 12. Oh, and there's the BMW involved as well of Loboda that has stopped.
It's going to be a full course yellow, isn't it?
I would think so.
They're dropping like flies all of a sudden, aren't they? The BMWs, now that Porsche in the barrier.
I wonder whether Loboda was trying to get out of the way and the Porsche got caught out and had to go off in avoidance. Either way, Michael Loboda's car is out of the race.
I wouldn't want to be getting out of a race car there.
No, quite. But the officials, with what, a minute and a half on the clock, either go full course yellow or I guess a red flag. Let's try and work out who did what to which and to whom. So this is Maloney's earlier drama. He bounced off the McLaren. Okay, that's why he went around. Fine.
Was that the damage on the McLaren as well? It was the slightest of touch, but it was on that corner.
And then a big, big lose with the tyre on the road. So there's the Porsche going off. There was debris on the road. Now, did he hit the debris or was he trying to avoid it? Either way, that was self-induced. And 96 has stopped coincidentally at the same part of the racetrack. So the incidents weren't related, and we have got 47 seconds on the clock. So I think Joel Deval, the race director, is hoping he can just cover that off with a yellow flag. The drivers are out of the cars, and as long as people respect the yellow flag and do back off, then we can get to the end. And this is the battle on the last lap for the lead, with 1.8 seconds covering the top three. The fascination in this is the way that Consani, having worked his way into the mix and into the lead, has never been able to get away.
No, it really hasn't. I thought he was managing it, but he definitely isn't. It's been whoever is in the lead can't break it, and that's been the theme. There will be a yellow flag from turn 11 as we drive through the battlefield of Misano of tyre debris everywhere at the moment. So there's really only one overtaking spot left into 14, and the green flag will only just be before that. But at the moment, this German car club 1, 2, 3, I think will stay in this order.
Three different German brands, those you say, Audi ahead of Mercedes, AMG ahead of BMW, so they're coming towards the yellow flag zone, and that deprives really Papadopoulos and Piana of a chance of a realistic challenge, because A, you can't overtake, and of course you're meant to be lifting off anyway with the car stationary. That noise in the background was a wincing Osborne, which is a small hamlet outside Shropshire. Here they come then, out of the hairpin for the last time. It's going to be victory, seemingly a third of the year for Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani, but the best result of the year for Alex Papadopoulos and Luc Ibanez as ever, going well at Misano. The checkered flag is at the ready. It is going to be an Audi win. Number 3 then, Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche for Team Speed Car up towards the line. Checkered flag is waved. Consani and Lariche win. Papadopoulos and Ibanez second, and third, Gabriel Piana and Beke Bessler. Benjamin Lassen takes fourth with Ricardo van der Ende. Fifth goes the way of Mackenzie Cresswell and Josh Rattigan from pole, and sixth from 38th, Yagish Gaidik and Pedro Ibrahim.
32 places, Gabe.
Thank you. Beautifully filled that gap. For Pro-Am honours, 10th overall, Alexander Weintraub and Stanislav Safarov. First win of the season for the number 7 Aston Martin. A car that started 9th on the grid, and he's going to finish 10th.
That's a good race for them.
That's a drop of one position that you were going to tell me. Up over the line, but a class win and a first-class win of the season. Perfect execution, that well clear of the class opposition. Second in Pro-Am is going to be this car for its best of the year. The Toyota of Cindy Coudet to bring it home, the French Hill Climb champion, and Gabriela Yilkova. And third in Pro-Am, despite the spin, is the Meloni family, dad and lad. What's going on in Am? It's going to be the Anthony de Barn there, BMW, and Jean-Mathieu Leandri that are going to win the class. Second in Am, number 97 BMW, we anticipate Mats Olsen to bring home the car of Stefan Nilsson. And third in the class should be the Julien Ripper Philippe Talamy Audi, again out of the speed car stable. Borisan have had a very, very good run there with a third and a sixth. But yeah, there are lots of good stories in that race, but you've got to say that Pedro Ibrahim and Yagish Gaidik from 38th to 6th, which is an improvement of...
Yes, 30. Oh, I've forgotten my math already. 34.
Lots of places, 32 places, has been one of the drives of the race. I'll have another go at that sentence in a few minutes, and you can leap in with spontaneity. Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche winning by half a second. Not a massive margin, but a win's a win.
Yeah, and they look very strong. As soon as they got through the first 10 minutes, the fuel load came off that Audi. They were very, very strong. And yeah, also on automotive, just a very clean race all round. Another few laps, could have Piana got the NM Racing Mercedes for second place? I think so. But yeah, the top three all very clean. But then so was that other Borson automotive car to make 32 places and not have a scratch on it.
32, as many as that, Joe. Gosh.
Because they started 38.
They finished 6th, right. So an excellent job done. Now, Jan Duran, Hadrian David's Toyota, after that contact with Paul Petit, Greg Gilvert's Audi, ends up dropping to 9th with the penalty applied. There is number 317, the Am winners. 17th overall, Anthony de Barn and Jean-Mathieu Leandri taking for them a 4th class victory of the season and keeping, of course, therefore, the championship lead. So, lively racing as ever in the GT4 European Series. There's something about GT4 and Misano. It always gives good, unpredictable racing, whether it's the nature of the circuit, whether it's the heat, but certainly a good race. And there, the winning Audi arrives out, gets Robert Consani, Benjamin Lariche and the team on hand to say well done. Robert Consani was the one that put it into the lead, and that gave them the win. So, happiness all round.
That poor mechanic didn't get a chance to, if he said no to a celebration, did he?
Right.
Consani grabbing him by the neck, and yeah, phenomenal driving by both.
So, a very, very happy Robert Consani as the drivers then go through a part ritual of taking off helmet, hands device and everything else, and interspersed with celebration with the next team member that comes along. So that all helps the Audi drivers as far as the championship is concerned. There is another penalty, Joachim Walder, BMW, for causing a collision. So another penalty, that's going to drop that car away in Pro-Am. Don't think it's going to affect the podium, no it won't. So, Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche have done it again. Win number 3 of the season, and Alex is with them.
The GT4 European Series, powered by RAFA, won by these two gents. My word. Robert, talk us through that stint. That was absolutely brilliant. That overtake was world class.
I'm very happy because I start with a lot of gap and I do my best for catch the two first me, and I play with the fire because I'm the limit for the penalty about the track limit. Yeah. But it's okay. The car is incredible. Benjamin goes very slowly on the first stint for manage the tire, and he gave me a car like qualifying, very impressive. So I like my Audi, I like my teammate, and I like speed car.
Yeah, you boys are certainly a very good pairing. Benjamin, you certainly did set up the car nicely for that second stint. Talk us through that first stint from your perspective.
Yes, my first stint, as Robert said, I tried to manage the tires because it was determinant. We lost a lot of races here since 2 years, 2 or 3 seasons. And yes, I was thinking about that. I kept the tire and I tried to keep the contact with the 2 first drivers. And yes, it's a very good result because it was a long time we tried to win in Misano. We did it, and it's very, very, very important for the championship. Yeah. We take a lot of points, so tomorrow we start in pole position. We have to stay smart, and yes.
Strategy paid off. Congratulations. Well deserved, both of you.
So good to hear from our winners. And there is the Audi of Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche, the winning car, and a really strong effort to win in the end by just half a second. But a job well done by both Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche. Interesting to hear what Robert Consani was saying about managing the tyres early on. So yeah, we were wondering about the pace, but that car being able to fight back. Let's hear from our Pro-Am winners. Stanislav Safronov, Alexander Weintraub are our Pro-Am victors this race 1.
Boys, your first Pro-Am win, and beautifully done.
Thank you very much. Thank you, I appreciate it. It was really hard. My fan broke down and it was a nightmare, honestly.
Talk us through that first stint.
First stint is good. I don't push a lot, save tires for my teammate, for Alex, and feeling good. And we try tomorrow, repeat.
Nicely done, well-earned points.
First win of the year for Stanislav Safronov, Alexander Weintraub, and they will make their way up to the podium. That's the car that has been pretty hard to stop this year in the AM contest and has taken a 4th win. Anthony Debarn and Jean-Mathieu Leandri coming home as the class winners in 17th place overall. Another BMW going well. BMW's seemingly better suited here than the Porsche Cayman, the other winning car in the class this year, with pre-race the equal number, 3 wins to this car. The Porsche of Max Kronberg, Daniel Blickler, that was a long, long way back, 4th off the podium. So Porsche struggling and BMW's going well here at Misano. So let's look at the results then, with Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani the victors, from Luc Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos, their best result of the year. Beke Bechler and Gabriele Piana taking 3rd. Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lecen 4th. Josh Rattigan and Mackenzie Cresswell finishing 5th, ahead of Pedro Ibrahim and Jagish Galic, who were 6th, having started 38th on the grid.
32 places gained, amazing.
7th, Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit, ahead of Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti. Hadrian David and Jan Duran 9th, with 10th, the Pro-Am winning Stanislav Safronov, Alexander Weintraub, Aston Martin. 17th, the winning Am entry, Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony de Barn in their BMW, the Chazal Technology entered car. So some really good racing, and 32 of the 38 getting to the end. That's a very significant result for Lariche and Consani as far as the championship is concerned, because another victory, and especially with title rivals Signoretti and Evans only 8th, that really does allow them to take a big step forward. So race 2 for GT4 European Series will be tomorrow. The cars will hit the track at 11:40 for the second race, and still to come today at Misano. There are, as you can see, coming into the collecting area, Renault Clios for the Clio Cup Series. There's Carrera Cup France, and then GT2 and GT3. So a really busy weekend on track, and some great racing in prospect. In silver in the championship, we look like this. Consani and Lariche now are well clear of Gabriele Piana and Berke Beschler, who move ahead of Marco Signoretti and Eric Evans. They drop to 3rd. Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lessen are 4th, ahead of Jan Duran and Hadrian David, with Alex Papadopoulos and Luc Ibanez rounding out the top 6. So a 56-point advantage. That is something you can only dream about if you're trying to win a championship. That really does set up Lariche and Consani very, very nicely for not only tomorrow, but the remainder of the season. So there the winning cars being marshalled into position. Drivers near the podium, ready to step forward, with Luc Ibanez, Alex Papadopoulos just to the right. You're looking there at Robert Consani. Benjamin Lariche was a pretty rapid driver up to MSV Formula 2 level at one point, but Robert Consani perhaps now looking the faster. He's been the one getting the pole positions, and they're getting the race lead. But you know, you win as a team, you lose as a team, and if Benjamin Lariche needs to compromise his early pace to look after the tyres for the long-term victory, then he'll do it.
Yeah, the only thing they don't seem synced on is doing the same hand gesture at the same time. But if that's your biggest problem, and we're 2/3 of the way through the season as well now, so we've broken the back of it. They will be in a strong position. Nürburgring and Barcelona still to go, of course, so there's plenty of points on the board. But at the moment, they can now be a bit more relaxed.
The Meloni is there, very happy despite their spin, with 3rd in class. And the drivers making sure that they have liquid, making sure that they've got their regulation Pirelli winners caps before they go to the podium. There is Alex Papadopoulos and a very happy Luc Ibanez. So only half a second away at flagfall, and of course it was all out of Luc's hands. He got into the lead, but there was nothing that Papadopoulos could do to repel that challenge of the charging Robert Consani.
We've almost forgotten how good that move was as well by Consani actually in the end. And the Maloney's actually there. Their home track, San Marino, obviously just down the road.
So on to the podium for that 3rd place, Berke Beschler and Gabriele Piana. Then Luc Ibanez steps forward with Alex Papadopoulos, and then that top step of the podium for Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche for Team Speed Car, which is there represented on the podium. The French team having done an excellent job as ever, and a very happy Benjamin Lariche steps forward with Robert Consani, whose son is now racing in F4, so the dynasty continues. They will go to the top step of the podium, and the celebrations can begin for the French team, Team Speed Car. The best of the rookie drivers also to the podium as the national anthem for the winning team is played. So well done to Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche, race winners, and the trophies being brought forward then. First of all, for the 3rd placed crew, to Gabriele Piana, who's on duty again a bit later on in the GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup race. Andrea Albani, the managing director of the Misano World Circuit, presents the trophies with the circuit map adorning them. The silver trophies for Luc Ibanez to Alex Papadopoulos, and then the gold trophies will go the way of the race winners. The team's trophy, first of all, for Speed Car. And other teams may have defected from Audi or left the championship altogether, but Speed Car has stayed loyal to the Ingolstadt brand and is still winning. So there, winners' trophies for Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche, win number 3 of the season. And there, the rookie trophy to Jan Duran for 9th overall in the Toyota Supra. Photographs now being taken. The team join drivers, all smiles. And Jan Duran looking a little disappointed, to say the least, with that result. Right, there, the champagne to be sprayed then by Benjamin Lariche. If you're coming onto the podium to represent the team, expect a soaking. And at the far end, in the green vest, Jacob Ebery, championship photographer, who all his years of standing on podiums has mastered the art of getting out of the way at exactly the right time. Barely a hair out of place, look, unmarked. So the podium will be made ready in a few moments for the Pro-Am and the Am ceremonies, but some really good racing. And the Audi R8 LMS GT4, it's not quite a historic, but it's been around a long time, but it proves if it's well run, still quick.
Yeah, and we said it in qualifying, didn't we? It doesn't have a weakness, it's just strong in every aspect. So it looks a great race car at all times on all the racetracks we've been to so far this season.
So excellent racing from the GT4 European Series, and there is more to look forward to tomorrow for the continuing story in the GT4 European Series.